Hey guys, my name is Yisa and I want to talk about input and output in C++. So, what is inputting? What is outputting? So, inputting and outputting is just a way of making your program interactable. It allows the user or maybe yourself as a developer to work with your program. You can add logic, you can add menus, you can even make games. So you can make a text adventure game which is just like a in the terminal. You just navigate left, right, or select options, whatever, and it'll print next text, all that kind of stuff. So it's really like an integral part to um, programming because we have applications. So like here's a file explorer, and this is an input output. I can click on things. I can open folders. I can run things. So there's Minecraft, for example. Minecraft is input output. It takes in your keyboard and mouse for input or your touchscreen. So input output is actually a pretty fundamental thing. Now, we're not doing anything crazy. We're just going to be working with text. So we're going to be in this terminal right here. We're just going to be inputting stuff. It's going to display stuff out to us. And right now, just off the bat, there is something being displayed out to us with this thing called count, which we're going to talk about. So here we have program ending. So program ending is here. Now, before we talk about like the mechanics of using count and later kin, let's talk about what they are. So count and kin are streams. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but they deal with streams of data. So this is a stream of data. This is a stream of characters or text. So they're think of them literally as places. So like we have two places, kind of like doorways. So here's Ken and here's Cout. So Cout you send stuff to. So if we want to send program ending, what we're literally doing is saying program ending. We're taking all this and we're sending it here. In the old days, there used to be like a piece of memory that was like dedicated for displaying stuff onto the screen, and that's kind of what Count is like a relic of. It literally is that. It's kind of that area. So when we send program ending to Count using the streaming operator, the little lesson, we're literally sending this to this quote unquote piece of memory. It's not anymore. That's kind of been reworked as we've gotten better with computers, but you can think of it that way. Likewise, kin is just the opposite. Instead of sending to kin, we pull from kin. So we take from kin, and we'll see examples of that in a bit. So the first thing that we should do is let's get into the coding. So here, count. By the way, count stands for character output, if I can spell output. And you'll see it with these streaming operators, with this one. So you'll use this one, the less than. There's also a greater than streaming operator, but we're not going to use that just yet. So let's just make one. So std count, and by the way, you don't have to type std. I like to do that, but you can also just use count. But in order to do that, you have to have this using namespace std. And I think we talked a little about that in the last video. It just like tells the compiler, hey, we're working with S in the standard namespace. So this count, it'll just be like, yeah, that's from std. But if you want, this is also how you can type it. Anyways, I digress. So now we're gonna put some text. Literally, we're gonna put some raw text in here. So I am text. And save, build, run. And notice how it kind of prints this. And I do have some text down here, so it's kind of smushing it on the same line. But we can make a new line by using either the endl or the \n. And we're going to talk about this in a second. So just bear with me for a second. So here's with the \n. So that makes a new line. We can also use the endl. That also makes a new line. So those are your two ways for like kind of formatting them. So now I mentioned that we sent this literally, this text literally. So last video we talked about variables, and variables contain values. So like if we make a variable like a string text, I am text, we can either send the text itself or we can send this, and they're going to give us the same result. So this right here is a variable, while if what we have here is called a literal. And you can just think of it, you're literally sending this text. It's never going to change. It's the same thing no matter what you do. So not too crazy, nothing too crazy, just like some terminology. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the \n. So the \n, which is called the new line character, and std endl or endl. So the difference between these two is that one is a character, as you know, it's obviously in the name, the new line character, and the other is this little like thing. It's a lot more complicated than like, oh, it's just like a variable. It's not. It's kind of like count, where it's just an object, and we're gonna get way into that. That if it goes over your head, totally fine. I totally get it. It was like crazy for me too. But this is technically less efficient than just using the new line. So if we, so I've obviously proved to you that they work the same. So if I say test text, and I do the same thing but with the new line character instead, I mean they're obviously doing the same thing. Like, we can't tell a difference necessarily. But under the hood, what this is doing is a flush operation. So it's kind of like emptying the buffer. And don't worry about this. This is like extra knowledge for those who, you know, maybe already are kind of familiar with this and just want to review. The endl like kind of empties the buffer. So if this is kin, it just kind of like flushes it. It just makes sure that everything that's in it is emptied. It goes to count, versus this just makes a new line. That's pretty much as deep I'm gonna go in this video. So don't worry too much if you don't get that. It'll become a lot more clear in the future when we talk about stuff like files. So now we just talked about this new line character, but this is actually under a whole category of things called escape characters. So escape characters, they're called escape characters because of this backslash. This escapes the string that they're in. So they escape the string they're in. So for example, if we have, let's do that cal. I'm just gonna copy this. So let's say we have this cal. So we obviously have this new line character, makes a new line. I'm gonna put this actually up here after the text. But let's say we wanna tab it in, for example. And in my notes, I actually have a couple. I have like this really cool diagram from Geeks for Geeks, which is a really good website. You should definitely check it out. But there you can see there's an A, there's a B, there's an F, there's an, you know, here's our \n, the new line character. There's a return, a tab. So there's lots of things you can do with this, and I highly recommend just playing around with it. But so let's say we want a tab. Let's do a tab like in the middle of this word. So if I run this, notice how it makes like a bunch of space just in between the T and the E. That's a tab. We can also put the new line here, just randomly, just stick it in there. And now it lets us like kind of format our text and make it maybe look a little bit more how we want it. We're going to have a video upcoming about just like, you know, this thing called manipulation, input-output manipulation, where you can really make things look good and make menus and like really professional looking things, which might be useful in your college classes. But yeah, that's kind of just a basic idea. There's a lot of things you can do. You can also like put quotes. So like if you want to type in text, so obviously we have the text here, but what if we want to have double quote in here? Well, have you ever tried it? So if you put a double quote, it's not really working, right? We have this like there's nothing in this. If I try to run this, it's gonna give me an error because it's like, hey, there's nothing called test, nothing called text. So if we escape that, those quotes, now the computer is treating that as text itself. So if I run this, Now we have quotes in our output. So there's a lot of things you can do. You can do with new line characters or and escape characters in general. It's going to depend on your use case, but I wanted to make sure that you are familiar with them. And you know what? You should I actually did a challenge for you guys. You should try doing this. So I asked you to make a double quote, and then I asked you to try escaping that ending double quote and see what will happen. So I kind of did it for you here, but you should try it yourself. Just play around with these things. Also, if you want access to these, I'll link these in the description. It's actually pretty cool, I think. I'll just put this page for you. This URL is probably going to be deleted eventually in the future, so I'll just leave it as a PDF or something. Anyways, yeah, that's it for input and output. We're gonna talk a lot more about this. We are by no means done with this. This is probably one of those concepts that are just gonna keep persisting as you go forwards here in your coding journey. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try and answer them, and maybe I'll even make them into another video. Anyways, have a good day. I'll see you later.